YouTube was on with the Shakur Zell. I'm back with another one. Top rank surprises everyone by putting on one of their best cards of the year. Let's get it.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So Shakur Stevenson is fighting against Artem Harutian this weekend, and it's a really, really good card. Surprisingly, it's one of the best cards that Top Rank has put on in a while. And they've done this a couple of times when it comes to Shakur Stevenson cards. So they have Oshaki Foster fighting against Robson Kasakiel in the co-main event. Keyshawn Davis is fighting on this card. He's fighting against Miguel Medueno. Miguel, he has a record of 31 wins and 28 knockouts, and he's never been knocked out before. He has 2 losses, but like I said, he's never been knocked out before. It would be really impressive if Keyshawn becomes the first one to knock him out. Another fight on this card would be William Foster versus Edrison Garcia. And then you have the brightest American prospect in Abdullah Mason. You know, Abdullah Mason is only 20 years old. And when I thought about him being 20 years old, I thought about Emilio Vargas. Because Emilio Vargas, he just fought last weekend, and he was talking about how, I'm just 20. He said, you got champions like Javante, who's like 29 years old. I'm only 20, so he's like basically saying he's taking his time because he's young. But Vargas's last opponent, he had 9 wins and 8 losses. And 2 fights before that, he was fighting a guy that was 10 and 8. Vargas, he almost has the same amount of fights as Mason has. So it's time for him to take the training wheels off and test himself the same way Mason is doing. And this is not about fighting against a young, undefeated fighter. It's just about stepping up in competition. Now, we know black fighters are often matched tougher in general. I mean, just look at Carmel Moulton. He's only 17 years old. He's fighting against undefeated fighters. And I'm talking about good undefeated fighters. You go back and you watch Carmel Moulton's last fight against Cuba, and you listen to the commentators. They're praising Cuba almost as much as they're praising Moulton. With that being said, once again, this is going to be a really good card. You also have Keyshawn Davis's brother fighting on this card as well, Kelvin Davis. So it's a really good card. And when it comes to the main event, with Shakur Stevenson fighting against Artem Harutian, at first I thought that this was just an easy fight for Shakur Stevenson. But recently I went back and I watched the fight Frank Martin against Artem. Before, I thought it was just a bad performance by Frank Martin. Now when I go back and watch it, I realize Artem is a good fighter, and that's the reason why the Frank Martin fight was competitive. We actually asked Frank Martin who was the hardest puncher he's been in the ring with, amateur or pro, sparring, etc., etc. And surprisingly, the first name he mentioned was Artem's name. Now keep in mind, this was the week of the Javante Tank Davis fight, but he had sparred with Javante, and he mentioned Artem's name first. He did mention Javante's name as well.
It's interesting that I think it's interesting Dante said that about Shakur, that Frank said that about Shakur and Artem, bro. And I'm gonna tell you why.
Was Artem's name. Now keep in mind, this was the week of the Javante Tank Davis fight, but he had sparred with Javante, and he mentioned Artem's name first. He did mention Javante's name as well, but he included Artem's name, which lets you know that he's a really hard puncher.
Yeah, it's ironic Dante said that because we've seen Shakur last outing with a hard puncher or someone they say can crack in Edwin De Los Santos, and Shakur didn't want to engage. He didn't want to stay on the line. He kept leaving the line and running around the ring. So I wonder if Shakur gonna stay on the line with this guy, make him miss it, make him pay. I wonder what his game plan gonna be. Is he gonna swim without getting wet? Is he gonna stand in front of him, use his head movement, slip, pull, roll, or is he gonna use his lateral movement, stick and move? That's yet to be seen.
Not just a good boxer, but he also has power. So because of his boxing ability and he has power, I'm really looking forward to seeing how Shakur handles the situation. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one. Let me tell you guys about Issa Israel Law Firm. It is a full...
Yeah, man. YouTube, I had Shakur. I mean, Dante mentioned this guy can box and he has power. Boxer puncher. The best way to beat a boxer puncher is to force him to box. Like force him to box. You don't want him to try to punch you. You want him to try to outbox you. You want to pick him apart. So Shakur gonna have to find gaps and exploit those gaps. Otherwise, it's gonna be a long night for him. But I have Shakur edging it out. Think it's gonna be a good card. Keyshawn gonna show out. I'm interested to see how Shaqy performs. Abdullah Mason is on that card as well. Um, it should be interesting. It should be an interesting night, bro. I guarantee you this card gonna be fireworks, and I'm super excited to watch it, bro. It's a bunch of Black American talent on that card, and that's part of what makes it so interesting, man. So look, like, comment, subscribe, and share this to somebody who need to hear me on the road to 2K. And I love y'all, man. Till next time.